Hello everyone, welcome to our session on Learn How You Can Transform the Future of Education with Gemini and Responsible AI. So a quick introduction about me, I'm Chandnika. I am working with natural language processing and AI/ML development in a telecommunication company. I have productionized multiple AI and generative AI applications in my organization. And also I love participating in multiple community forums and I love participating in AI hackathons. So recently we participated in a Code Vipassana hackathon and we are one of the winners in it. So we'll be also seeing about that in the upcoming slides.
Hey, hi everyone, this is Praveen and I'm a senior data scientist at a private firm. And I'm an open source contributor. I've contributed to TensorFlow and BERT's course. So the last talk was on BERT, right? So there is one thing called BERT score, wherein you can compute the embedding between two different vectors. So I've contributed to that. And I have also mentored 500 plus students on AI, right? Whatever in and out of AI, and I have nurtured them. And I'm just getting started with YouTube. So that's the smiley there.
Yeah. So today's agenda would be, we'll be starting with what is generative AI for the wider audience and how Gen AI is being applied in education domain. And we'll be covering upon responsible AI and also about the Gemini, which is Google's large language model. And we'll be doing the project code walkthrough, which we did in Code Vipassana. And finally, we'll have a session for question and answers. So to start with, this project was part of Code Vipassana. So Code Vipassana is an instructor-led hands-on session. So you can learn a lot about Google Cloud Services, about AI development. You can learn about agentic workflows, how you can develop RAG systems, multimodal RAG. So this is an amazing opportunity to learn about and also implement with a hands-on session. So definitely do follow Code Vipassana. It is conducted by Abhirami Sukumaran ma'am, and it is sponsored by Google Developer Group. So it's a great opportunity for everyone. So we did a project to develop conversational bot to teach soft skills for kids involving Gemini and Responsible AI, right? And also our blog got published in Google Cloud Medium. So through Code Vipassana, we'll be explaining this project in the upcoming slides. So to start with what is generative AI, this is the formal definition from Google Cloud itself. So Gen AI is a type of artificial intelligence that creates new content based on what it has learned from existing content, right? So the classical ML systems, they either predict a label or they predict a value, for example, churn prediction, or it classifies among spam or not spam in the email classification, right? But these generative AI models are capable of generating new content itself. It can write stories, it can generate artworks, it can generate images, audios, videos it has never seen about before. So with this, let's see how much Gen AI has evolved, right? So with generative AI, we no longer have to be a data scientist to talk to these AI models. So you can talk to these AI models in a very natural language instructions. So anybody can write natural language prompts and talk to these large language models, right? So this has opened up an opportunity for a wider accessibility. So anybody in the world can now access these large language models. And also no longer we need to develop models for single task. So earlier we used to create one model for classification, one model for summarization, but now these foundational models are able to adapt to multiple domain and also multiple tasks. And if we see the evolution, we started with word-to-vec GenSim models where it was mostly about understanding words. So we were about understanding the meaning of a word or to find is it an adverb or an adjective in that stage. But now we have evolved to a stage where we have started understanding about the world in these foundational models. So it also understands and has a vast amount of knowledge about the real world applications, and it has adapted to multiple tasks, right? So this has opened up a lot of opportunities in multiple domains. So with this, if you want to learn more about generative AI, definitely do check out Google Cloud Skills Boost. They offer awesome resources on generative AI starting from beginner to advanced. So you can definitely check out this content. They also provide you multiple badges for completing these skills. So now let's talk about how Gen AI is being applied in education space, right? So there are three key factors. So there are three key factors, starting with the conversational ability of these models. So you can talk to these models like how you're talking to a human, right? So these are hyper-realistic conversations. And also these models are capable of adapting to multiple domains, right? So whatever domain you give, whatever task you give, like summarization, classification, or explaining a concept in a better way, they are capable of adapting to it. And also, since these has been trained on a very massive data set, they have gained a vast amount of knowledge which can be utilized in the education domain. So these are the multiple areas where large language models are being used. So starting with personalized tutoring in education, right? So it's not just that it's personalized based upon the age group or based upon the standard. So it is hyper personalized based upon the learner's learning style, right? So based upon the pace with which he or she is learning, or is he a visual learner, or is he comfortable with different learning styles? So all those are analyzed by generative AI applications, and Gemini is used for hyper-personalized tutoring systems, right? And as much as students are using ChatGPT or Gemini large language models, teachers are also using these equally, right? So the educators are using these to create interactive learning quizzes, or to convert a long document into a visual form to teach in a better way, or to summarize a research paper. So many ways educators are also using it. And if we take YouTubers or online course creators, they are using it extensively to generate visual form, or to generate the course content, summarization. So Gemini is being extensively used here as well. And talking about the academic allies, right? So no longer you don't have to wait for your next classroom hour to get your doubts resolved. If you're preparing for your exam, or if you want some help in your homework, you can trust on these large language models to get it resolved. So you now have 24/7 support on these systems, which was not available before. And also there are multiple learning tools that are possible with the Gemini models now, starting with interactive learning experiences, and also summarizing a course content, or even you can simulate a mock interview with it, uploading your resume and uploading what scenario it is. You can simulate multiple mock interviews. So Gemini is being used in these many scenarios. And the key important factor is the accessibility, right? So this is not only available for a top tier schools. So even an underprivileged community now have access to these sophisticated tools, which is the game changer. Yeah. So since we are dealing with education which involves a multiple various age groups, so this is the most important aspect in developing these applications, which is responsible AI, right? So responsible AI is about building applications that is for everyone. So the AI should not be biased against anybody, either based upon their gender or based upon their ethnicity, color, caste, creed, anything. It should not be biased towards anything. So we should be always careful that we are applying responsible AI practices in it, and Gemini enforces it as its core, right? So it should be accountable, and privacy should also be maintained. So for this, Google has published a set of AI principles. It has a AI principles which is not only applicable to complex use cases. Even for a simple AI application, we will always have to apply these Google AI principles. So this includes like it should be safe for anybody to use, and it should not throw any unfair output. So also do check out these AI principles, like the Secure AI framework by Google. So this should be the core of AI development. So now let's talk about responsible AI in Gemini models, right? So Gemini is Google's large language model. And Gemini is built with responsible AI as core. So it has a responsible design. And as you all know, large language models are trained through reinforcement learning through human feedback, right? So human give multiple feedback on how best to respond to a situation. For example, during the Gemini training, the human trainers, they come up with a set of behaviors, like if someone is intending a bad behavior, how do you respond in that situation? So multiple iterations of such a training has been done in Gemini extensively, such that it actively mitigates bias and toxicity in the output, right? And a lot of testing has been done with external red teaming. So in external red teaming, the ethical hackers, they try to hack Gemini, or they tend to give unintended behavior questions to Gemini, and they test how it responds in those cases. So Gemini has a very high comprehensive benchmark that it has surpassed all of those. So it is highly responsibly AI-oriented model. And also for developers, Gemini offers Responsible AI Toolkit. So it tells you multiple guidance on how to implement Responsible AI in your application. And if you are finding any toxicity in your output, how do you trace it back, right? So they offer you the LIT framework, which gives you interpretability of your prompt. How do I trace back to the Responsible AI solutions? So also do check out this Responsible AI Toolkit for developers. Yeah, so in Gemini, we have multiple variants. So Gemini is an enterprise version also through developers, you can call it through API call. So you have multiple variants with the biggest model, Ultra, Pro, Flash, the lightweight model, and Nano, which is the on-device model, right? And we have an interesting family of models, which is Gemma. So Gemma is an open model from Google. So it's a very big move from Google that they have released these open models. So you can download these and use it from your local systems, right? And these are open, and you can utilize these to fine tune to your own data. So your own specific data, custom domain data, you can, if it is very sensitive, you can fine tune them and use it in your local systems. And even here you have multiple variants like Code Gemma, Data Gemma, Pali Gemma for vision language model, and you also have Shield Gemma for responsible AI. Yeah, so Gemini also has safety filters for the development. So Praveen would be explaining on that.
Thank you, Chandnika. So let's look into on how to make the safety filters possible. So you have all these categories listed out, right? So starting from harassment till civic integrity. So each of this category also has some thresholds, right? So this is application oriented, right? So it depends on your application to set these filters. So let's say I'm going to design a gaming application, right? And I would like to make it more interactive. So I would compromise on the dangerous category, right? So it can be dangerous. Games can be dangerous in order to give you that real world touch. So in that case, you can set the threshold to block none, right? And other category, it's up to the developer or the decision maker to set this threshold, right? This is all about the safety filters. Now let's see how you can apply it programmatically, right? So people who are familiar with Python should be able to figure out this code. So I'm instantiating the Gemini API model, and then in the parameters, I'm passing these safety settings, right? So the previous slide, you saw all those categories. These has been added here, and also the threshold for the same. And this is how you achieve, you can make sure your model is somewhat adhering to all these categories or safety settings. Okay, so Chandnika would have given a high-level introduction about the Vipassana project, right? Which we want. So I would like to dig deep on what that project is. I'll be showing a technical demo on that, and for that we used these APIs, right? Starting from Vertex A till Imagen, Google Cloud, and also Gemini, right? Now let's have a code walkthrough. Yeah, so all we created this POC in a Google Colab notebook, right? So it is taking some time to load. Let me check if I have opened something already. Yeah, all right. Is it visible for you guys sitting in the end? Okay, let me zoom in. Fine now? Fine now? Yeah. Okay. So let's start with the dependencies, right? So most of the applications or the APIs you saw in the tech stack should be available here, right? So this is how you install a package in Python. And then comes here we'll be loading those packages to be used downstream, and also some inbuilt packages in Python, right? So as Chandnika would have said, so we built this application on top of Vertex AI. So wherein you need to instantiate. So anyone who would like to use Vertex AI have to instantiate using the project ID and location, right? And once that is done, you have to authenticate Google Colab to use Vertex AI, right? Then comes the interesting part wherein we are creating the application, right? A POC of that. So here you can see the familiar code which we already saw on setting the safety settings. So I'm just using Gemini 1.0, which is a baseline Gemini model. And you see the prompts we have created in order to make that application work based on the desired objective, right? So it is not just a short project. So you see all those things, and okay, in the end we have integrated everything into Gradio. Gradio is nothing but a quick way to create a UI, right? Plus an application running on a URL. Okay, so once you execute that, you will be getting a link, public URL created by Gradio, and the application will be running in this URL. So anyone who would like to interact with this application can click this. So I have opened one such. Let me take you there. Yeah. So this is the application, right? So it's like a chatbot. So whatever so let's say, so imagine this is built for a kid, right? Kid of 12 to 14 years. So we are trying to provide a soft skills training for this kid, right? So this is something which is not focused on these days or any day, right? So you train a kid on technical stuff, mathematics, science, but soft skills is something which is not focused on. So what if you could use artificial intelligence to do it for you, right? And that too, it should be more personalized, right? So the LLM or the teacher, the AI teacher should understand the world of the children in order to make this thing effective. So this is one such scenario, and the LLM is instructed to follow all this. Plus, we have also added some safety protocols and guardrails. So you see, the kid has just said hi, right? So that's the first transaction you see. And for that, you see the LLM is giving a good introduction, and also it's creating a scenario for critical thinking, right? So that's the soft skill we are more interested in order to develop for the kid which is interacting with this LLM. Now, it has asked this question, right? So you are into, yeah, so okay, so this is, you can relate to this scenario. Let's say I'm about to present, now the projector is not working, what would you do, right? So just imagine how would a 12-year-old kid will react if that kid is not prepared for the situation. Why not simulate that before, right? So I just have to wear the kid's hat and reply to this, right? So I'm not going to behave like a 30-year-old person and answer this. So I just created a similar response, right? So this I'll check with my friends and see if there is a spare is a response from the kid. For that, you see again a counter response from the LLM, right? So it is appreciating. So this is one factor you love to have, right? So whenever you propose some idea to your teacher, what if that teacher is making fun of you, right? I'm not all the teachers, just there will be some, right? So since this LLM is already prompted with safety settings, it is helping, right? It's helping the kid to provoke with new thoughts, and it is encouraging for that kid. Now, also, not only that, it also tries to make the kid curious about few more points, right? Like in this case, what are the other options you could explore? So it's not just restricting the kids with that thought, and what else the kid can explore. So I just added one more point, saying I'll ask the technician to look into the issues. Okay. So like this, it is trying to make sure the kid is somewhat prepared for this scenario, right? So So I added few more points saying what else HDMI provision. So just in case the projector is not working, I would make use of the TV and other output devices out there. So you see all this, it is appreciating. See, maybe a kid would answer this way, but I have few more demo I can show, like which would relate to more of a kid-based scenario, right? So in the end, it ends, right? So it converges the conversation as well. So that is very important, right? So whatever you initiate, right? So that should end in a good note. And this AI teacher is capable of doing that as well. Now to show one more demo, right? So and then we can quickly wind up this. So this is, okay, so not this. I think it's too zoomed out. Okay. So in this scenario, so now the LLM has created a more kid-like scenario, right? So now you're into a magical adventure and you're walking in a forest kind of thing, right? And suddenly you see a river and you want to cross across the river using a bridge. How will you make a bridge, right? So that's the ask. And as a kid, you can, so it's difficult for me to answer to this question. Maybe a kid can easily answer, right? And the LLM will try to, again, whatever I showed in the previous demo, try to make the things curious and try to converse the conversation so that the kid learns to react better in case, right, if this happens in real world. So that's the purpose of this application.
So yeah, so we have seen the code walkthrough and also a quick demo on it. So we also have image generation embedded to it. So it's still into development to integrating to UI. So the takeaway summary would be to we understand what is Gemini is all about, and we also saw upon the Gemini large language model. We also understood how important responsible AI is and how Gemini emphasizes more on responsible AI development. And we also saw how you can build a GenAI app for you in Vertex AI. And this code walkthrough we did, it is also extensible to other use cases as well, right? So be it you want to teach, STEM concepts, or you want to teach maybe data structures and algorithm, or specific to debugging techniques, you can still extend these to other use cases as well. So I hope you all would have found it interesting. So these are our LinkedIn profiles. So definitely do connect with us. We'd be happy to answer if you have any questions. So yeah, thank you everyone.
Thank you. Before we wind up, thanks for GDG team, volunteer team to doing all this hard work and to make this event happen, and also giving us an opportunity. And also people, you staying till 5:30, it's not an easy job, I understand, right? So last year I faced a similar scenario. It was not easy at all, but thank you. And yeah, I think we have a question. Yeah.
Hi ma'am, good evening ma'am. Your lecture is really amazing and easy to understand. I have one question. What are the current limitations and challenges taken by the Gemini AI, faced by Gemini AI?
You mean difference between AI and Gen AI?
Yes ma'am.
Okay, so in both of those, like in very sensitive domains like this, responsible AI is the key challenge, right? Because people, maybe we can know which is right, which is wrong. As an adults, we know how to differentiate between bias and toxic output. But like when you want to give this AI system to a kid, responsible AI is very crucial, and that's the challenging part. Because the training data itself has bias and toxicity in it, right? So how do you mitigate those? So there is a lot of research going in that. So that's the very crucial thing, and Gemini has a lot of support on that. So that's one challenge I would see. You have any points?
And what type of data, what data types will be trained by the Gemini AI?
So it depends on the model. Okay, let me take this question. Sorry. It depends on the model, right? So see, you can think of data as senses like humans, right? We can see, hear, and speak, right? So maybe we have few more senses, but data is available in the form of text, audio, and vision, right? So it's image. So these are, if you are looking into multimodal, then all these three modalities will be used to train the model. If you are looking into only a text-based, so for your application, if a text-based model is enough, right, then you can use such models. So there are models which will focus on only one modality. But when it comes to multimodality, right, it will make use of multiple signals coming across text, vision, video, right, audio. These models are good at, for these models, you need all these varieties of data.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Guys, any other questions?
So actually, you are using that safety settings that is provided by Gemini AI, right? So
Yeah.
we can use the guardrails also, right, to
Correct.
enhance the security perspective of user. So do you have any plan to use, or this itself satisfy all the requirements, whatever the guardrails provides? Will that satisfy?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So when you say guardrails, is that external API? It's not part of Gemini, right?
Correct.
Correct. So see, it's up to our test data set or the test cases which we care a lot, right? As of now, whatever the test cases we developed, this settings is enough to satisfy that. But let's say maybe in future, one of the for one of the case, it's not working well. Then we may need to re-examine that, add those test cases, or we could also try the API you suggested, right? So that could be an extra addition, extra layer on top of it. So we should also think about the trade-off it can create. Maybe it will help in responsible AI settings, but maybe it can slow down the response as well.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and the other question is extension of the previous question. Like you were talking about the multimodality, right?
Yeah.
So here, if you implement the multimodality, it can give some animation also. I mean,
Yeah, so
because kids cannot understand the lengthy sentences, right? So
Correct.
if you create some animation things, do you think will it be helpful or
yes,
any?
yes. So actually, I should have touched those items as well,
Okay.
right? So in this scenario, maybe this is, but we played around with multiple scenario, right? Let's say a kid got injured in football. Not only that text is going to make it more interactive, what if you create an image out of it, right?
Okay.
So we have experimented that as well, and she gave a small dope on that as well, but
Okay.
I should have elaborated better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you using any stable diffusion models or?
No. Okay, so as of now, it's just API call, right? So Google itself has Imagen 3. All this can generate images based on text.
Okay,
That is
the
good
pixels
enough.
are very clear because many people say like.
Yeah,
still-
it's not clear, of course. It can happen.
Because
right?
sometimes I see in the internet, like when you ask some image to create, like a person is driving a bike, okay, so it cuts the leg of the person,
Yeah.
only shows the
See,
bike and the,
see, this is one limitation, I would say, on all the models, right? Whatever, these are correlation-based models.
yeah.
They don't understand the physics of what
Exactly.
reality is, right? So that is one problem which is in the cutting edge of research. Maybe one day it will be solved. So you see, have you seen gymnastics videos? The AI-generated gymnastic videos? That
I
will
mean-
be more funnier.
yeah. I mean, OpenAI released one model, right? Starts with cell.
Sora.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that
even
was-
that, I don't think it's for a video model, right? It's a very difficult task, right? Because they are not well equipped with physics. So when I say physics, if I touch this, my hand should not go after this object, right? They don't know that. So somehow we have to teach that to the model.
So one last question: are you doing any fine tuning of the models, or simply using the models that is available and ready-madely and trying to use for your use
Okay,
case?
so for this use case, right, the project which we did on Code Vipassana, this was enough. Just the API call was enough. But as I said, when our test cases gets elaborated, we may need to fine-tune, focus only a particular segment. We may need to come up with some SLMs, right?
So planning to do the fine tuning, not retraining the existing model and create your own model kind of a
No,
thing, right?
as we evolve, we will be touching all those.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So one more additional point on that. So regarding the image generation, Google has also released Imagen 3. So compared to Imagen 2, there is a drastic change in Imagen 3. So we can try that also.